Everyone. This is NTU President Adam Marcoux, and I'm laughing because my wife is giving me a hard time about combing Madeline's hair, and laughing at me because I'm upset that I had to stop reading my book at a very inopportune time, and I'm dying to get back to it. So I'm going to do this quickly. Everything that I'm going to say tonight is about what was in the presentation. Nothing, 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 nothing has been decided yet, other than there will be a reopening task force and a remote learning subcommittee under that task force. That's the only thing that's been decided yet. I know that tonight's meeting, sorry, that was my phone, has stirred up a lot of emotion for people. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's indifferent. And I think the reason for that is because there are so many unknowns that we're still dealing with. Everything keeps changing. We hear one thing yesterday, now it's changed today. And I'm not talking about in the district, I'm talking about from medical professionals, from the CDC, from wherever we're getting our information from. So the only thing that was decided tonight was that we are going to have a remote learning task force and a reopening task force. That was it. The timeline for their work is like next week through mid to the end of July, and that in July, the end of July, they would report to the school board with recommendations. Ultimately, the school board will have to make recommendations. We'll have to approve things. And yes, there will probably be things that impact contracts, and then that will have to be negotiated and looked at as well. So we have been following this. We've been in touch with AFT New Hampshire and AFT National on things around our contracts and such to make sure that everything is covered. All right, so let me give you a rundown. Again, I don't have any answers. I don't know who's going to be on the committee. I've seen what the makeup of it could be, but that I have not been asked to appoint people. I have not been asked to sit on it, although two of the things on the committee are union leadership. So we will have a voice on that committee. It just determines who that's going to be. There are a few teachers on there. I'm a little disappointed with the amount of teachers on there being too small. Special ed was represented. I think they need more representation. ELL was represented. I think they need more representation. Preschool didn't get mentioned. I'm sure we're missing some. The head nurse is listed on there, a few central office administrators, one board of education member. So all I know is that there is a committee and there will be people on it. As I get more information that is confirmed, accurate to hand out, obviously we'll send it out. All right, there will be a survey. Yes, a survey. Go ahead and start laughing and snickering about a survey. There's 5 different surveys that will be sent out depending on what your role is in the district. And when those go out, we'll make sure that we piggyback that information going out to you. They are looking at information based on the CDC guidelines, information from our own public health department, the state public health department, Department of Education. They have looked at and have seen AFT National's publication of reopening schools safely in the community around them. So what I'll go back and comment because I'm reading the comments as we go. It just said teachers. It didn't say anything specific about where they're coming from. I've heard from preschool, the Unified Arts. I think what will happen is if we start looking at everything, the committee is going to have like 100 people. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I completely support and understand the need for people to have their units represented at the table to make sure that their voice is heard. As I have been getting feedback from the different groups, I have been passing that along to the different groups of people at central office. So but keep that coming as well because that's helpful to me as well. All right, so here we go. There were 3 proposals or models that we could look at. Full reopening, and some of the challenges with a full reopening is there was talk about testing students and staff with temperature checks and the swab. There's some questions on whether or not the district can legally do that. Questions on PPE. There was discussion about making sure that we had masks available for everyone. And then the questions became about concerns for certain groups of staff, certain groups of students. I don't see how 3-year-olds in preschool will keep their masks on. They are looking to purchase masks that are clear, so our deaf and hard of hearing students and staff will have masks. It would include revised schedules. There would be accommodations made for those who have concerns around their own immune compromised status or taken care of. Everyone would need their own device, as in a Chromebook or such. Start doing the math on that. Then there's talking about transportation and buses and how to keep those clean. Comes down to social distancing again, and cleaning and sanitizing all those with significant financial impacts. The second model would be a 50-50 split between the hybrid, half of the kids in school, half of them at home. I don't know how, again, I don't know how any of this would work. This is just things out there, and the task force will start looking at those things. Rotating the students on an equitable basis. There's talk about Monday through Thursday schedules with deep cleans on Friday. I know there are significant concerns for our teaching staff with their own children, or our teaching staff and support staff that have their own children or other duties at home that may be impacted by us having I'm very tired all of a sudden. Concerns about their kids being in other districts that are different than ours. Also, concerns about their own immune systems or immune systems of people at home, accommodations, etc. Those are all things that I continue to hear and that we continue to bring up, that some of you may not be able to come back until this is clear completely and what that looks like. I have been researching, and AFT has been helping me with what the CARES Act means in terms of FMLA and then the additional FMLA changes just for COVID-19. So we will have all of this as part of what we will bring forward, whoever represents the union on the task force. I've already started getting my documentation in line for when we go to push for certain things that are in the best interest of everyone. And with 11,000 students and 2,000 staff, that can be a challenge, but we will look at all angles of that. And then the third option that was presented was full remote learning with refinement to current model. And I wrote down as I was listening to that I have major concerns about the burnout, screen fatigue, and the big one is special ed. Like what they're being asked to do now is nearly impossible, and we're just gonna keep adding on to that with that. So there are so many concerns about all of these models. I know that there are positive things to all of them, right? Going back to school would be some normalcy for everyone, we hope, being with our colleagues in our classroom with our supplies, but then going back, there's risks for everyone who has immune deficiencies or cares for older people or younger kids or there, and then, you know, what do we do if we don't go back to school and parents do go back to work? Like, I worry about the kids. So there are so many things and factors that weigh on this that I think there's nothing that we're not going to have, that we have to look at anything and everything to make this work. I've been using the thing, throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. You know, I say that kind of being, you know, sarcastic, but kind of believe that we have to look at all the possible things at this, because what we're doing right now is not sustainable for anyone. And that isn't a slight against our staff or the kids or their families. It's just, this is not, we're not set up for that right now. And I think that leads perfectly into financial implications. Good news is, from the CARES Act, see, I had to start writing on the side of things. We are getting money from the state through the CARES Act, which is about $3.2 million that has to be spent between March 2020 and March 2021 is how I understood it. So that means expenses in March as a result of this could be charged to that. And it's just like, it's not the Title I grant, but it's similar, that you have to put in what you want to spend that money on, and then it gets approved. So there is some oversight. But I'm going to tell you, $3.2 million is not a lot of money if you think about needing to outfit all the kids and staff with appropriate technology. Like, you should not be using your own technology at home. And then let's get started on who should be paying for our Wi-Fi. I sent an email to the membership today. Our accountant for the union is going to answer your questions on what is tax deductible or you can write off for your expenses at home. And I'll create a frequently asked questions sheet, which will be great. Our guy is awesome. But we're going to need more staff for cleaning, and we probably need more educational staff as well. In his proposal, Dr. Mosey was looking at adding more nurses, which I've been advocating for a long time, to help with all of this. I'm not saying what we're talking about or looking at to add to this is a bad thing, but I just don't know where we're going to get the money to do it, because using rough numbers, and I sent this to the executive board yesterday, I was up over $5 million using worst case scenarios that we have to provide 11,000 Chromebooks, 2,000 laptops, and Chromebooks may not even be sufficient for certain programs or classes, especially in the middle and high schools. So that's technology. Then he wants to add, this is my term, I haven't given him this term yet, but he wants our own district health department within the district, so similar to what the city health department does, but within the district, like a health czar. I like the word czar, but how do you spell that? That would be interesting. No, it could be a Z first in some spellings, or a C, depending. This is the best part of remote learning, is arguing with your wife live on Facebook. And 3 assistant directors of that to oversee the testing and such in consultation with our school nurses. So that's what some of those new things would do. Then who's paying for this testing and the equipment for that? And are we allowed? Oh, people are spelling czar for me, thank you. But can't you spell it with a T? I think you can spell it with a T. So if someone could look that up for me, that would be great. Who's paying for testing? Are we allowed to test kids and staff for this at school? We've asked AFT for a legal opinion on that, so we'll have that information. They've asked for 15,000 to 20,000 masks, and talked about updating HVAC systems. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here, or a negative Nelly, or a negative whatever, but that's a lot of money that we don't have right now. And I'm not saying that's a lot of these things on here we could use. HVAC systems, sure. Technology. Oh, thank you, Czar, TSAR as well. Thank you. This is why I love you all. You're my favorite. Don't tell the other people. So that's where we're at. Lots of questions still, and I get it. Lots of people anxious about this. I get it. I hate to say this, that it's a wait and see. I don't know who's going to be on the committee. I have not been asked my opinion of who should be on the committee, even though I've suggested that they ask me who should be on the committee. So as soon as I have more confirmed information, I will share that with you. I know there are lots of questions and I don't have answers to that. And I'm sorry for that, because I think the more answers I would have, the better for you all. So that's where we're at. So as we get more information, we will share that with you and make sure that you're kept in the loop. Keep sending your individual concerns to me. I have a folder system on the computer that's tracking all of those for me. They're helpful when I need to go back and look at things. So that's where we're at. So thank you for entertaining me, or me letting me be on there. I'm seeing people telling me they want to be on the committee. I'm not the person that's making that decision. And frankly, I don't think me suggesting people is probably the best idea either. I'm sure that I will get to have input on who the union people are. You know, being president of the union, you know, there are those perks of that. There was, someone just asked, will this decision for the whole year or something comes back? At one point, they talked about this committee being established and being in place all year. And as the rules or the recommendations from the medical field and the CDC and public health change, then that committee could adapt things. So I don't know if it's been fully determined. Oh, good. Someone was watching the meeting and is helping me in the chat. The task force to reevaluate the plans as needed, which I think is wise. I don't think this should be a one and done thing. I think you need to make a decision on where we're going to start. And then as information changes and comes forward, we make decisions that are best for our district. We go from there. So I'm seeing lots of questions about masks and comments. I have no idea about masks. I know there's the N95 one, and then there's homemade masks, which are nice-ish, but they have to be washed, and how often do you wash them, and who's responsible for washing them? So lots of good questions. I don't mean to downplay what you're writing. I just don't have answers to that. And I think all of that will be for the task force. Oh, one thing I'll add about the surveys. I've seen a draft of the surveys by the district. There are open-ended questions in the surveys of the draft that I saw, which will be great. I appreciate open-endedness on surveys, because then you can write what you want, which I think is important. The district in their proposal part of it was to acquire masks, so I'm not sure that they're going to require you to bring your own mask. So I know lots of questions I don't have answers to. Please start sending them to me if you have questions about things, and not post them in the comment section of this video when it's done, because it's very hard to track the comments once the video is shut off. It's much easier for me to have them in email so I can move them along. So I'm going to go now. I hope you guys have a great night. As I have more information, we'll send it off, and I wish you a good evening.